How about now? Can you hear? Microphone check. How does that sound? Is there any echo or anything? Sounds like I'm hearing an echo. Microphone check. Yeah. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Okay. Yeah, it's my audio for some reason. Hello, hello. Still. Okay. Hello, hello. There we go. All right. Okay. So that should be good. Can you guys all hear me now? All right. We got rid of the echo. Sorry, guys. Just crossing the wires. StreamYard sometimes every once in a while like resets my settings. I don't know. I don't know. But hey, it's all good. It's all good. All right. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Drawing Down the Dragon. I'm Snappy, and thank you for joining me for our evening adoration to the Muses. And we gather with the sunset and cry out in loving adoration to the Mother, the twins, and the Muses, the one, duality, and generation. And we ask the Muses to sing us the songs of inspiration, to guide us in our daily life, and to teach us to listen and perceive with reasoned clarity. Thank you all for joining me on such a lovely, lovely day. Truly, truly appreciate it. Means the world. Do I have an animal spirit? I would say my animal spirit was the wolf. Ever since I was a very young child, been deeply connected to the wolf. And then this has played out for me in many, many, many a magical way throughout my life. Also, the owl. Those both of those energies have appeared to me in many ways. Actually, one time I remember I was walking in downtown Ottawa, in the middle of downtown Ottawa by the Rideau Center, one of the more busy places. And I'm going to cut through a park. I'm about to walk down a staircase, and this massive barn owl just lands on the railing right beside me. And we just had to stare down for like 3 minutes. Oh, I look like a lion. Okay. No, that's just, you know, commitment to not cutting of the hair, right? Another kind of bind. But these are all personal gnosis. Anyway, we have to light our candles to begin our rites. All right, let's see here. All right. Hail Hestia. Thank you guys all for joining me. Okay. And let's begin by discussing the astrology. So we find ourselves under the moon in Aquarius. And the moon in Aquarius is kind of wild energy, right? Really beautiful energy. It takes us to the heights of our imagination and to our logic. It calls us into connection with the people around us, to socialize, to communicate, to take that projective leap into the future, right? This is really powerful, powerful stuff. It can bring so much joy, so much imagination, so much wonder, and so much connection. Just don't allow your logic to wash away your inner emotions at this time, right? But now's a great time for getting together and listening and learning and imagining, really projecting that vision into the future. Get out under the stars, right? In the tarot, this is the star code Aquarius, that energy that connects us to the ancestors and that asks us to cry out for help, right? To adore and to demand. Wild energy, you know? Love it, love it, love it. All right. So let's now discuss the title here: The Mysticism of Basic Shadows, Occult Shapes of Ourselves. All right. Let's see. That line comes to us from a wonderful poem here by Paul Cameron. It's a bit distorted. That's weird. I'm not getting any distortion on my ends. Is anyone else hearing distortion? Is it just Robbie? Let me know. All right. Yes, we're going to read this beautiful poem here called Scutamata by Paul Cameron Brown. And Paul Cameron Brown is a Canadian poet. Oh, we are hearing some distortion? Okay, let me just try to fix this thing. Check, check. How does that sound? You guys hear me? How's that? Still no audio? Okay, there I am. And is the distortion gone? Still distorted a bit. That doesn't make any sense. Going in and out. Okay. All right. All right. Well, we're just going to continue. Okay. So we're going to read this beautiful poem here. Okay. By the amazing Canadian poet. Why isn't this building up now? Okay. There we go. The amazing Canadian poet, Paul Cameron Brown. And this poem is called Scutamata. Scutamata. And the Scutamata is a river in Ontario. And he's going to list a bunch of these magical rivers, so to speak. You'll see. It's fun. Scutamata. Let me get a quick drink here. Sheldrake, a magician, the mandrake, a mythic plant whose shriek drove listeners wild. This lake, Sheldrake, and its wind song, Heart Swoon, counterpart, Scutamata, with Chabomecca and a whiff of buckshot lake to boot, waves lapping, prayerful stones, water's edge, the earth's bones, lakes, an art form, hard scrabble, scribble, shorthand on a blessed land, the mysticism of basic shadows, occult shapes of ourselves. Hail the naiads, hail the nymphs, right? And recognize that which is above is the same as that which is below. The spirits of the land are profound, right? Wild stuff. We continue. The next poem I'd like to read by Paul Cameron Brown is called Braggadocio. Chess playing death, know the reverse. Death sitting decked out and self-satisfied. In black, no mandatory top hat, but a shroud, shouldering a cowl. Their stereotypes and appearances have to be kept up, though hardly any systematic gnarled fingers of bare family fame, rather pudgy digitals reflecting genteel prosperity. After all, winners do take all. His fellow Satanists bank on it. Of course, such things are vicious. Death plays no favorites, and waits no man in time. Still, parlor games are one indulgence, hardly comforting though human beings function at one purpose. When this hollow of hollows puts on the smirk, dalliance victim is the chess motif again. Sift through the chicken bones and might let the chump stir the rubble of his dreams. Something of gallows humor or gangster largesse. Offer a stiff drink, brandy will do. One last cigarette. Then, too, for beat gladiators toiling bravely, the apparent rewards accelerate. Truckloads of flowers at the funeral, for instance. Preferential treatment, guys, mercy must be kept up. All lies and appearances. Prepare, sit the guest of honor on a splendid cushion, then serve up dish after sumptuous dish, dining splendidly on one's own children, unbeknownst to the maddens him no end. Brief success turning to bitter sawdust is a supreme moment of ecstasy, serves precisely as metaphoric extension of all earthly reward as illusionary. A delicious borrowed shamelessly from fellow representatives on Earth, the Sicilian mafia. Further spin-offs center about the absurd, but spare us juvenile intrigue with witty omens like a bird loose in the house. Rather, a swift checkmate served up in the best grandmaster tradition is more apropos. Therein lies the jest. Workaholics and their polar opposites, the dead lazy, effortlessly come around. When realization hits home, all distinctions blur. No difference. Sharp laughter unceremoniously greets even the self composed. Especially intriguing are the ambitious, endless quirks, really. Concerted mockery recreates further patterns of utility. Basic strategy remains unchanged, though disguise is paramount. Dress her in robes of tartar gray. Implant a slight smile, then beckon from around each corner. Create a maze of attractive light with flower pots. Faint knockings behind every door. A cooling breeze overhead. Genuine affability like an open air cottage in a summer meadow. The greater the false hope, the greater the final squirming. Funny stuff, for even death, the one remote corner of his being partakes an occasional mirth. Why not, with his monopoly intact on everything else? Wild stuff. Wild stuff, that one. Really wild energy. Okay. Cutting in. Oh no. Am I still having audio? Why is there so many audio issues? It doesn't make any sense. Hmm, let me just see here. Microphone check. Check, check. There should be some good audio coming through. All right. So can you guys hear me? How's it sounding? Okay. I'll just have to deal with a little echo. Hopefully it's only on my end. All right. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not gonna. Should I reread that poem, or should we move on to something else? What would you guys like? Do, do, do. Okay. Well, I think we'll continue with the next poem. All right. This next one is called Dress Rehearsal by Paul Cameron Brown. The universe is expanding. There's cause for reflection and bound to do wonders. For who am I queries? At this late moment on the celestial clock, man isn't sure if he stumbled into a black hole or just the debris from the Big Bang Theory. Many of the Earth's residents desperately want to be ETs, travelers with carte blanche passports welcomed in any galaxy. Therein lies the ultimate twist to getting away. Alas, what if we're alone? What if the universe expands so much it forgets there's an inhabited world and obscures the planet from our collective vision? Sobering stuff. Meanwhile, on a spaceship, Earth preparations are underway. Preparation to abandon the planet. Preparations to forget life is a serious matter. Preparations to drown protracted speculations about existence intensity. ET Mania is carrying the day. People adorn stuffed life-size dolls of imagined creatures on the dashboards of their cars. Children queue up for hours to get gingerbreads designed from scary monster dough. Everywhere the question on everyone's lips is, how many of them are there? When will contact be made? When will they want to throw in their lot with mankind or take over? After all, it's our no one seriously wants reminders of Von Daniken's chariots riding again, or the genetic mumble about intergalactic breeding. Going to bed with ET is too much. It's the outer limits. Propriety still has some hold, even if Mary Engel did slip up and get it on to bear. At least that was recognizable Earth life. Darth is too much of a transition, even if it's only a one night stand. ET is just like Bambi. He wants to go home and alone. He's not interested in sex. Too many other myriad problems are floating in his adorable gelatin head. Surely Earth women can relate to that. Surely if the universe is expanding, then it's because of intrigue in high places, because cosmic particles are hammering out new definitions. Any one of 1,000 theories. Star Wars can stuff it. We want peaceful contact on our terms. Ask Orson Welles or H.G. Wells. Time machines are old hat, and another invasion in Newark is too much to absorb. With NYC across the river, they've already got all the action they can handle. We like our extraterrestrial life tailor-made, and preferably in our own image. We're prepared to accept them if they conform to strict, stiff criteria. They have to be like us and prepared to cooperate. Seeing eye dogs help the blind. Horses were good draft animals for centuries. We might even want to decorate it like the Hindus do elephants. Make it into a religious procession, such as the Roman triumph. It would be the same for outer space visitors. No mutants or roving intelligence is allowed. Earth is off limits to marauding predators. We'll fight at the suggestion they're here on reconnoitering missions. As a prelude to conquest, or the Bermuda Triangle is one of their many staging areas or dress rehearsal sites. Earth for humankind carries more immediacy than Canada for the Canadians. If they are out there, they better be. Hollywood's got it all figured out. There's no shortage of scenarios. Life support systems will be rushed wherever there is a sighting with artillery backup. The Pentagon is in control. The Moonies have asked to be informed. Crackpots the world over await deliverance. The earth has big plans for the visitation. Contact would displace the Copernican revolution as a first in the blockbuster events, edge out Columbus's hat trick, even erase Caesar's Gallic campaigns. Such as things are no longer relatable. Every school kid can fathom aliens, even if he can't decline a Latin noun or understand the cause of the Renaissance. Unveiling the first spaceship would cap the evolutionary quest for enlightenment or realization of a greater oneness. The universal thirst for knowledge would be satisfied. Still, our trek to the stars would turn in on itself if they got here first. Something like the Seminoles arriving in Paris in the 13th century, overland from Nice or finding orangutan, piloting the Viking ship Sutton Hoo into Vinland. It's barely credible and has to be remade into tangible dialogue. No sapient red puddles or dryads need apply. Fuel up the crematorium. Break out the electric cattle prods. They may be common as blades of grass in a meadow, but it's our show. Orange Pico. Intellects will naturally be suspect. Benign intelligence better be the order of the day. Earth is a closed shop. Everything culture. Everything above board. No renegade interpretations. When will the juggernaut be? Human nature is nothing to toy with. Yeah, it's very different, you know, but it's a fun one. It's a wild one. I just really enjoyed this guy, you know, as a fellow Canadian. I was first turned on by the Naiad poems, that first one we read, but I saw this one and thought, this is too fun to pass up. All right. Okay. And with that, let's hop over to our divination proper. I hope you enjoyed that wild speculation. All right. And we're going to begin with our Ganapati Oracle. Hey, the future is what we must create. It's what we must engage, have to ponder these grandiose questions. We have to recognize that, part of the reason I wanted to share that poem is because there's an implication from Paul Cameron Brown of why are we trying to escape the earth? And why aren't we empowering ourselves here? Why aren't we healing the earth? It's interesting, you know? And then just thinking about us in this current moment about how we are just not, we're not ready for anyone to contact us. We've got a lot of evolution to go. We've got a lot of evolution. All right, let's see. Ganapati Ganesh. And we invoke the Ganapati Oracle and ask to shine their light upon us, to guide us through our days, and help us to realize the beauty of our dreams. So, Paulo Ganapati Ganesh, what is today's empowered message? Right, let's see. 37, cultivation, powerful energy. We have 7, the energy in its most expansive, its most energetic, right? Showing us that diversity of the light. And we have the energy of the Great Mother, the 3, the force that calls us into connection, into greater expansive generation, right? And here we have that magic of cultivation, right? Cultivating energy is profound. It calls us to do the hard work of disciplined action, of training, of learning. Here we see Ganapati playing the Veena, right? And this energy calls us to actually really engage, to perform in this. way. We are called to really engage in the magic of reality and cultivate the self over time, right? Really, really be self. Am I a carnivore? No one is a carnivore. I don't bind myself to those kind of things anymore. I lived most of my life as a strict vegetarian, but in my current place, these things I'm not too concerned with at the time. But all the love to those who find those rewarding. All right, let's see here. We're now going to go to the fairy guardian oracle. All right, and we invoke the spirits, the fairies, the daimonists, and ask them to shine their light upon us. Well, sorry. God, I'm all distracted today. Not feeling the best. Oof. Okay, let's try this again. And we invoke and summon the fairies, the diamonds, the monics, the Larry, the penitents, the Geni, the Seleni, the satyrs, the dryads, the naiads, the oreads, the nymphes, the nereids, the kurids, the kuriobantes, the elves, and the gnomes. All the spirits of mind, the spirits of place, the spirits of the ancestors, and the spirits of the dead. We invite them all in and ask to watch over our readings, to guide my hand and inspire. What is the message? Okay. All right. Precious time. The fairy of time wants you to experience every moment fully and to make the most of your precious time. Being mindful not to waste others' time either. Powerful, powerful energy, this, right? Taking control of your life begins with reclaiming your time, right? Not allowing yourself to be distracted, not allowing yourself to be dedicated to the work of others, right? There's a lot of interesting thing here with this idea of time. And this is a really powerful thing. He who can control his time has real power, right? This is what you see in these rich circles, right? Once you get to a certain point, then time becomes the most valuable thing on the planet, right? And this is heavy energy, heavy, heavy energy, and something we all have to reconcile with. And of course, it's always the middle path that we wish to engage with, to find a balance where we are taking advantage of our time, where we are working in flow, we are growing and evolving, but we are also taking that time to be in the body and appreciate the moment, to relax and engage, right? The key is not to be in that wasteful energy where we are not flowing with others, healing the self, or engaging in creation, right? We don't want to be an abusive, destructive energy. And there's just so much power to be gained in taking control of your time, of disciplining yourself and choosing what and you should do. When you look at a lot of the monastic, communities, this is what they're really about establishing disciplined practice, about removing distraction, in order to focus and do the hard work needed to really achieve and to grow. I'm not saying that we need to become monks or anything, but we can recognize the power in this and how important it is to focus and to take control of our time. We're all here for a limited time, and you are spending it every moment, right? Beautiful, wild, heavy energy from the spirit, from the fairies. All right, we continue. Okay. Next up, we're going to go to the angel guardian oracle, and we invoke the guardian spirits, the angels, and ask them to shine their light upon us, to guide us today, and to inspire. What is the message, guardian spirits? Let's take a look. Take charge and action. Powerful energy. Immediately, I think of the magic of Hermes, right? Take charge in action. This screams the power of the four, right? The Emperor card, and also the crossroads, exceeding ourselves, wielding the elemental powers, rising to the stars, right? Empowering ourselves in our will, right? This is heavy energy, but it's just needed energy. There are times in our life where we will all have to be in that emperor. We'll all have to take charge, manifest the vision, and build the foundation for ourselves. We'll all have to be in that true cultivating energy, you know? This is really powerful, powerful stuff. And it's really calling us to overcome our limits and to become our best self, right? But to do so, you have to take charge. You have to be that empowered person. Otherwise, your energy is going to get called into other directions. It's going to get called into the other directions, you know? And also, this energy makes me think of the Eight of Wands, right? The Eight of Wands. And the Eight of Wands is the magic of swiftness, opportunity, but you have to seize the opportunity. You have to trust your intuition. You have to be willing to pursue it, right? And it makes me think of the Magus. The Magus, the one who goes through the cycles, who balances the self, who dons the costume and has the audacity to try, who tells their story and has the will realized. But in order for all of that to occur, you have to take charge and move forward in love, in action, and in generation. Right? Powerful stuff. All right. Thank you, Guardian Oracle. Really appreciate it. All right. We're going to go to the Earth Spirits Oracle. The Earth Spirits Oracle. And we invoke the elemental spirits of the earth and ask them to empower us, to uplift us, to guide us. What is the message, Earth Spirits? Let's see. Okay. Serenity. Serenity. Wow. The magic of being serene, right? Such wonderful, wonderful energy here. Under the moon, engaged, right? Wow. To be serene is to recognize the joy and to be at peace, to go with the flow, right? And that's the magic we're calling ourselves in here, right? We really want to embrace that power that calls us into that calm, right? That calls us into the night, into the quiet, right? Really, really beautiful energy here. Love it. All right. Thank you, Earth Spirits. Embrace that calm magic of serenity. All right. And lastly, we're going to go to the Egyptian Gods Oracle. The Egyptian Gods Oracle. All right. And we will invoke the spirits of Egypt, the gods of the Nile, the Neteru, and ask them to shine their light upon us, guide us throughout our days, to help us to realize the beauty of our dreams. So, what is the empowering and inspiring message, Egyptian gods? Let's see. Neteru, inspire. Anuket again. Anuket, hope. The 22. Wow. We had this card yesterday calling us into the grand we, calling us into love and connection, right? The two, really, when we see the 22, we're seeing the totality of the cycle in the tarot, for there are 22 cards if you count the zero, right? And the two energy is the magic of the high priestess and the power of love, calling us into that connection, calling us to recognize the other, calling us to go through the path of divine imitation, to ascend to the stars, to connect to our muse and become our full self through harmonizing, right? We unite the heavens and the earth, right? And we engage in the profound energy of Anuket, right? It's such wonderful stuff here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. Amazing. Thank you so much, Neteru. Okay. And with that, we're going to hop over to our tarot proper. But before I do, right, the embrace it. Yes. Right. Calling us into connection, calling us to draw down that divine self and to harmonize, to become whole, right? Such beautiful energy. Okay. And we're now going to begin our tarot proper. But before I do, please give me a like and a subscribe. It really does make a big difference. It boosts everything in the algorithm, and I would truly, truly love and appreciate it. And if anyone is interested in me pulling them a few cards this evening, please send me a super chat, super thanks, or sign up for a YouTube membership. All right. Let me see here. Let me get a drink. And don't forget, if you are subscribed, to click that bell icon so you can be notified of when I do go live. I try to go live twice a day, 6 a.m. and 8 p.m., though sometimes that fluctuates either an hour early or an hour later. But and some days I unfortunately miss, life happens. But if you sign up and you hit that bell icon, you'll always know what's up. Beautiful stuff. All right, let's begin our tarot today with, let's see, we'll see if it can fit. We're going to try the Sola Busca Tarot. The Sola Busca Tarot. All right. And let us invoke Apollo and the Muses and ask them to shine their light upon us, to guide us throughout our day, and to help us to realize the beauty of our dreams. So, Apollo and the Muses, what is today's empowering and inspiring message? Let's take a look. All right, we have the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups, right? Really powerful energy, the Ace of Cups, calling us into the depths, right, of the waters. The water in its beginning of the cycle. When we see this energy, it signifies a profound opportunity, right? This represents new people coming into our life, new empowered connection that can lead to true, profound emotional fulfillment and growth, right? This can be the spark that leads to new friends, connections, that takes you into that place of true emotional fulfillment. But you have to cultivate this energy, recognize this energy, go with it. Let's see. What do we have here? The 21, the ion, the penultimate moment before completion, right? The primal fire. This is the energy that calls us to shed our skin like the snake, to be like the goddess Astrea, and set ourselves ablaze and rise to the stars, to leave the world behind, to willfully go through that transformational action, right? This is taking charge of one's life and taking accountability, right? We are moving forward in that truly profound, harmonizing way. We are following our passions and we are coming into true virtue, right? This is where the fire leads you, right? And if you pursue that fire, it will purify you and bring you into the heights, right? Yeah, look at that. We have the Ace of Wands. The Ace of Wands, look at this. We have the primal fire in the beginning of elemental fire. Wow, that's heavy. That's interesting. There's a real passionate growth that's coming for us here, and it's going to lead us to true profound growth, connection to new community, new friendship, maybe partnership. But it's beginning here with this spark of inspiration and that pursuit of virtue, right? When we see this energy, we recognize that there's desire to go through that transformation, to let go of our past concepts of self, to let go of our mistakes, and to come into profound transformative action, right? We take accountability and we move on from the past by doing something different, right? By being better than we were before, by taking accountability, by passing through the elemental fire, right? And it is this process that's going to bring us into new profound love and connection. Let's see here. Yeah, indeed. Indeed. We have the Three of Cups. The Three of Cups, right? The Three of Cups is the great mother energy in the waters, right? That energy that calls us into community, into connection, into friendship, right? Look, right? We're seeing that profound pursuit of that virtuous will, and it is leading us into growth and connection. It's going to bring other people into our life. It's going to call beautiful people to come and to work with us. We will become our best self in connection with others. Let's see. And look at that. Yeah, look at that. We have the final primordial completion of the fire, right? The elemental fire. And we have the 10 of Wands, the fire and its completion, and the minor arcana. And the 10 of Wands is the breaking free of chains, the breaking free of false conceptions, whether these are placed upon ourselves by community or society or tradition or religion or family, or whether we can find ourselves in false images, right? Constructed in our mind from our desires, our limited desires, right? We're breaking free of falsehood and we're coming to accept the self. We're coming to love the self in this moment. And with that profound energy, we can truly transform, right? Once you come into this acceptance, when you can recognize who you are and what you really need and what you really want, then you can truly grow and move beyond this limited moment. And that's what we're seeing here. And this is coming through this profound experience of playing in the waters and the fires. We have to go through both of this, right? We have to pursue ultimately that highest virtue is calling us into transformation. But what is it leading us into? Profound connection. And these connections are informing our growth, allowing us to see ourselves clearly, allowing us to recognize and accept who we are and to be okay in the moment, right? Wow, 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 wow. This is beautiful. And look at that. We have the Page of Wands. The Page of Wands. The Page of Wands is incredible energy. The Earth of Fire. The Earth of Fire. The pages always represent new life, new ideas, but these are profound ideas that have a life of their own, that exist beyond us, right? Like a profound business, a creative work of art, an empowering novel, something really magical, right? And this energy, right, it's in its infancy. It's in its infancy. It needs to be loved, it needs to be nurtured. But the princesses have that ultimate potential. They return back to the fire of the Father, right? They become empowered in that journey of the Magus. They complete the cycle of the minor arcana. They sit upon the throne of Malchus and bring the ace to completion. And we see her connected to both of these elements, right? And the waters and the fire together call us into that true, loving, passionate connection, right? This is beautiful energy. And lastly, the Page, right, of Wands is the one who comes to upset the old growth, right? She comes to bring in new inspiration, new passionate connection. She challenges the status quo, what is not virtuous and just, what is not inflamed and empowered in harmony, right? And it holds it to account. Really powerful energy here. Wow. Oh, and this is interesting. At the top, we're seeing the Knight of Discs, the Knight of Discs, the Prince of Discs, right? The Knight of Discs, the Prince of Discs, sorry, these cards are a little bit big for my camera here. I was worried it was going to be like so, but, we make do. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And the Prince of Discs is the heir of Earth, the heir of Earth, the divided youth, the divided youth. And crowning this reading, this is the energy that we find ourselves showing up in, right? Showing up in. And ultimately, what we need to do is get out of our entire energy here. This is kind of fun and wild, but we're finding ourselves in completely the wrong mode of where we wish to be, of where we need to be. We're caught up in our ideas and we're bound in the earth, struggling to build and create anything, unable to commit to anything. The prince is always a divided, distracted energy, capable of great imagination, capable of incredible skill, but unable to commit, unable to engage, bound up in anxiety, divided internally, right? And ultimately, what does the prince need to do? They need to embrace the elements of water and fire, right? They need to become a king or a queen, recognize that the answers they seek are not found in the imagination, but in loving connection and profound work and engagement. But this is what we're seeing this prince do. They're coming into that primordial elemental fire. They're going into the waters and the fire. They're pursuing real love. They're getting out of this prince mode and they're really growing up. They're breaking free of the chains of false images and coming to accept themselves, coming to know themselves, right? Giving birth to new life and generation, right? Through passionate connection and cultivation. Wow, let's see. And we have the Five of Cups. The Five of Cups. Disappointment. Disappointment, right? We see what's calling this prince into all of this action. It's that love energy, right? It's that desire for the water, which is our center card. Connecting to communities where the fire is that energy that refines us, but it's the connection in the waters that brings this all about. That is the force that calls that youth into action. What do they want? They want love. They're unfulfilled, right? I often think of the Five of Cups, as teenager energy, because like the Four of Cups is luxury, it's comfortable, it's the family, it's the home. You're safe and secure, but it's unfulfilling. If you're a youth at home, right, you can never find the love you seek at home. You can be safe and secure. Your parents can support you so much. They can give you so much, but they cannot be your best friend. They cannot be your lover. Just can't. And ultimately, you got to leap out of that energy. You got to find it for yourself. And that's what we're seeing is the cause for all of this growth. It's calling that prince to ask themselves, what do they truly want? Right? They know they want love, but now they go, okay, well, I want connection, but what does that mean? I got to figure out my desires. And that's leading them through all of this connection and ultimately results in this creation. That's beautiful. Yeah. And what is the message here? Right? We're seeing all this elemental fire and then the birth of the child. The key too is not only must the prince pursue the waters, but they must recognize that the power is in their hands, that they can do what they want. The Two of Wands, one of the most intense cards because this is the strength of Heracles. This is the energy that says you have the force of will. You can dominate the universe. What does that mean? Now you have to be responsible. Now you have to put that energy into action in a way that isn't going to destroy things, right? And you also have to recognize that if you're failing, if you're not succeeding, and yet you hold all of the power, you have all of this incredible magic, and yet you're not in the energy you want to be. There needs to be some deep reflection. There needs to be a looking in and going, why am I not fulfilling my heights? I have all of this ability, and yet I'm not going there, right? And often what we see is that there's an issue in the air. There's an issue in the air, and that's what we see with the prince, right? The ultimate issue for the prince is overthinking. Overthinking. Prince energy is needed, right? We all need to take that time to engage in imagination, to try to learn and understand reality. But eventually you got to come to that realization that pursuit can only take you so far. And ultimately you have to balance it with connection, community, in the waters, right? And if you stay too high up in the air, what it does is it pulls you away from reality. It pulls you into the self. It becomes deeply narcissistic, deeply disconnected, and it becomes really feudalistic. So that kind of energy prevents you from action, prevents you from engaging. And the muse is screaming, Prince, you have all of this ability. If you just embrace the fires and took that leap, you can create this beautiful page. give birth to this incredible princess. You can complete the cycle, recognize your true self, recreate the self. You can break out of this prince energy at any moment, right? The only thing that's holding you back is yourself, right? And oftentimes this is fear too, right? There's an unwillingness to change, is to have to break bad habits. It's going to have to take accountable action. And that is very, very, very difficult. So easy to be distracted. So easy to fall back in a routine. It's so easy to lose sight of where you wish to go. But the empowered Magus, the one who's on this kind of path, has to empower themselves in this way. They have to set themselves a course, and they have to take control of the reins. This is what it is also to be in that chariot energy, right? To be in that magic drive is to take responsibility for one's life and to take hold of the reins. This is what they always say this often in these magical texts. You got to take hold of the reins. You got to rise to the throne. You have to become that profound deity. You have to don the crown, call yourself a king, right? And that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing that prince recognizing your own ability, pursuing love, and achieving it, coming to profound connection and recognition, and creating new life and generation that'll lead to true profound fulfillment. This is a really, really beautiful, beautiful read. All the prince needs to do is get the heck out of their head, recognize their ability, and pursue the love that they want. Don't sit in disappointment, do something about it. That's the message. Become the emperor, exactly, Gandhi. Become the emperor. Become the emperor. You gotta be the visionary in your own life. You gotta build that foundation for yourself. That's the first half of the journey. The first half of the journey is becoming the emperor, cultivating the foundation, right? And then the second half is exceeding the self and imitating the divine, balancing the self, right? The emperor is Mars. The emperor is Mars. The tower is Aries. But yes, very connected energies. Very connected. No, wait, no, the tower is Mars. You're right. The emperor is Aries. You're right. Sorry. But yes, Aries energy. Aries energy. Right? The emperor. You know. No, you were right the first time. I just overthought it. The fool is not Aries. The fool is is the elemental air. Is the elemental air, right? The fool is the elemental air. If you're gonna call the fool a deity, you would call them Dionysus. Generally, that's what you get is Dionysus, or the Green Man, or the. But all of these dying and rising gods, Adonis, Attis, Dionysus, right? But also the other side is the feminine of that. So Medea, Persephone, right? And those great mother energies, Hestia, right? Uh, those primordial wombs, goddesses like the Egyptian Mut, right? Isis, you know. Ultimately, the tarot really begins with the primal three, which is actually, we can talk about this and let's take an aside here because I've been going through Crowley's essay on the Fool. It's one of my all-time favorite essays, and it was really, really inspiring to me the first time I read it. And there's just so much in this that can really explain a lot to us, right? Um, Ultimately, what we see with the tarot is this, okay? Right? The whole of the tarot is based upon the tree of life, and the tree of life is always cognate with the tetragrammaton. One may sum up the whole doctrine of the tarot very briefly as follows. The union of the father and the mother produces the twins, the son going forward to the daughter returning the energy to the father. By the cycle of change, the stability of eternity, the universe is assured, right? That doesn't fully explain the Fool, though, does it? The radical energy of the Fool is that cause behind the colors, right? It is the zero, the cosmic womb, not the nothing, but chaos, right? That which we cannot comprehend, that which is beyond, that which gives birth to the twins, right? That which gives birth to form, to the cosmic egg, right? And that's the energy of the Fool. Really wild stuff. There's so much here, but we can also see it in this idea of, right? It is the first of the three mother letters, Aleph, Mem, and Shem, which correspond in various interwoven fashions with all the triads that occur, notably fire, water, air, father, mother, son, sulfur, salt, mercury, Rajas, Sattvas, Tamas, right? It's always the Holy Trinity. It's always the Holy Trinity. And it can often be summed up in the magic of the equation 0 equals 2. 0 equals 2. 0 equals the male and the female, right? You know, Diana gives birth to Artemis and Apollo, right? You know, or Acalarentia gives birth to the Lares, you know? There's so many iterations of this in just an infinite number of cultures. But when we're talking about the tarot, this is what the tarot is. It's this primordial, animistic, ancient tradition that connects us to this understanding of the earth through that image of the tree of life, right? And it's really, really magical stuff. Really beautiful. And again, right, we see this the you know the rising and the fall of the masculine and the feminine going through those cycles, right? And we see the parallel, right? Persephone and Dionysus are the same image, the same image, truly, truly profound, right? But they're in different cycles. We have to understand this is the cycles of the sun and the moon. And when you can understand that, then it can make sense. And we recognize that, you know, the person, each of us contains the totality of the whole, right? We are that empowered trinity. We are the empowered trinity, not not just the twins, not even just the mother, but we are the expansive whole, the unfolding of all creation in that dance of Leela. And that's how we are able to truly engage this. When you recognize yourself as the divinity and the responsible one for this unfolding of reality, right? And then you go through that process of engaging and understanding where you are upon the cycle, right? And far from it, my friend, but I appreciate you and the kind words. All right. I just love this stuff, you know, and I hope that it's helpful to other people, right? Let's continue. Up next, we're going to go to, we might as well go to the Thoth Tarot. To the Thoth Tarot by Lady Frida Harris and Aleister Crowley. All right. And we invoke Apollo and the Muses and ask them to shine their light on us, to guide us throughout our day, and to help us to realize the beauty of our dreams. Apollo and the Muses, what is the message from the Thoth Tarot? All right, our center card and defining image is, oh, I forgot to bring up my camera. Sorry, guys. Here we go. Oh, wrong button. There we are. We have our Princess of Wands, right? Our red princess, Medea, the one who goes through that cycle. You know, the princesses, they're the ones who rise back up to the stars, who take that profound spark from the earth and return it to that masculine that then, you know, and then we go through the cycles again and again, right? Really, really powerful stuff. This is new life and generation, that spark of imagination that has a profound existence of itself, that'll has the potential to reach to the heights of the ideal. But the princess energy must be nurtured, it must be cultivated, it must be allowed to blossom in the earth. And this is the energy that has that spark of inspiration, that strength of endurance, that flame, right? That calls it into action, to call us into justice and accountability, to bring us to a profound virtue and self-realization. Where do we go from here? Oh, interesting. This is interesting. Okay. We have the Six of Cups, right? The Six of Cups is loving reciprocity, mutual, reciprocal, consensual fulfillment, coming together in that true loving flow. I give freely and receive freely, and you give freely and receive freely. We are fulfilled in each other. We are balanced in that complete understanding, in that love that not informs us to act in a truly connected way and prevents us from acting in a disconnected way, right? Really, really beautiful energy here. And it leads to such incredible creation. And look at that. We have the Seven of Wands, Valor. The Seven of Wands, right? This is intense energy. Intense energy. We're feeling all of this magical intensity as we're coming out of the Six of Wands. And the Six of Wands is victory, right? Knowledge and conversation with the Holy Guardian Angel, being in true balance with the self, walking the walk, talking the talk. Not only are we fulfilled in our desires, but we are in harmony with the people around us. We are uplifting the people around us, working with, shining as an individual, but also as a part of the tapestry. Beautiful energy, right? To get to that six, we're going to have to be in focus. Right now, we're finding ourselves overwhelmed in the energy of the Seven of Wands, right? The Seven of Wands demands that we stay true to ourselves, to our will, where we are going, what we've been working towards and building towards. There's going to be all this opportunity, all this intensity pulling us in all these different directions. Now's this time to stay focused on that creative work, on this new life that needs loving support, right? On that balance here, right? The Six of Cups is beautiful energy, right? Loving reciprocity, but it is not easy. But it's not easy, right? It demands that true connection and cultivation, really informed communication, right? Let's see. Okay. We have the Prince of Discs. The Prince of Discs. Yeah, look at that. We're showing up in that Prince of Discs energy again, this time as our foundation, right? And the Prince of Discs is the heir of Earth, the divided youth, the youth that finds himself caught up in their imagination, caught up in this energy of trying to figure out what they're supposed to do, where they should go, what they're about, right? You know, that energy is really, really important at various times. We all need to be in that exploration. But eventually we have to commit to something. And the answer for the princes is always that the messages they seek, the connections that they seek are not found in the air. The air leads to more questions. It leads to greater perspective. It doesn't answer you diddly. You know, if you want that fulfilling energy, you need to pursue love. You need to come into creation. But that's what we see the prince doing here. But in order to do that, they're going to have to be willing to get outside of this limited energy, to come down from the air and to commit to the fire, into the water, right? Let's see. Yeah, look at that. That's beautiful, guys. That's beautiful. This is really mirroring that other reading we had. You know, the Ten of Wands, ruin, breaking free of the cycle of overthinking. We're seeing that prince no longer bound up in their imagination, but instead gaining that greater perspective. With the Ten of Swords, it's all about is no longer are we in that victimization energy of the Nine of Swords, cruelty, where we feel like everything is out to get us, where we don't correspond to our imagination, so we lash out at the self. The universe doesn't correspond to how we think it should be, so we lash out at it and everyone in it. You know, in order to break free of that energy, we need to step outside the self, apply a profound imagination to our moment, and recognize that our own fear has led us down this path of self-destruction, that our own overthinking has caused us to be in that deep victimization energy, that we are now in that cruel mode and we have to let it go. We have to return back to the root of the element of air, go back into that willing energy of listening, right? Seeking that balance, the truths of repose, right? This is powerful stuff. Ultimately, we're seeing that prince come down from the air, break free of fear, and commit to the waters and to the fires. That's really, really beautiful, right? Oh, wow. Look at that. Not only are they breaking free of fear, they're coming to the balanced middle path in the air. Science, reason. This is incredible energy. One of the most powerful cards in the minor arcana, right? This is being in true communication and understanding, right? Learning from history, from humanity, from consensus, right? Seeing in that grandiose perspective that takes in all of this profound energy, energy and learning that's been cultivated through time, right? We're now in the heights of human understanding. We're now in that profound energy of reason. We can see the world with clarity, not bound up in falsehood or in distortion, right? Really profound. This is beautiful. That prince is really coming into this powerful moment where they can truly create something beautiful as a result of their passionate love. Wow. And what is this about? What are they doing? This is incredible. You know, the Four of Discs, one of the heaviest cards in the deck, right? One of the more complicated cards, because this is the building of the foundation, the completion of the first, coming into oneself, right? This is what the princess needs to do in order for her to grow and blossom. This is what the prince needs, right? Often I'll say, with this energy of the Four of Discs, those who have it struggle to maintain it. Those who don't have it struggle to build it, right? And the Four of Discs, it's more than just the home, our work. This is our core sense of self. The earth represents the consummation of all of the elements of the water, fire, and the air, right? So this is developing our core center that stays with us through the changing of the cycles, the core relationships, the core entity, the core ideas, right? And to construct this is one of the most important things that the youths can do. And that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing get done here. Not only is this youth coming out of the air, coming into love and passion, creating something new, they're manifesting the foundation that can support themselves and the child. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. This is really beautiful. This is really beautiful. Yeah, look at that. And there's profound opportunity here. Profound opportunity here. And the only thing that's preventing us is fear. But once we're in that reason perspective, once we can look at the world with eyes unclouded by judgment, then we truly build in the earth. The issue of the prince is always overthinking. They have all this incredible ability. They know they have so many ideas. Now you got to commit to something. Now you got to really do something. And what are they doing? We're seeing them, right? They're in that wisdom energy. They understand it's about her. They got to build the foundation for her. They got to do it to be in a loving balance. Now the prince knows what they need to do, right? Once they got out of the air and they came into the water and the fire, now they know. Got to build the foundation. They found their purpose. They found their calling. And they're doing it. And they're doing it. They're growing up. This is really, really good stuff. Yeah. Yeah. The key is just to pursue their desires with unclouded by judgment, right? The prince is that one who has, the fool is that energy of audacity. Take that leap into the unknown with that full intensity of your being, right? With that purity of the child, not bound up by overthinking, right? Perceiving things clearly, right? Just embracing our desire and going for it, throwing ourselves into it, right? That child who just takes the cookie, right? They see the cookie, they go for the cookie. There's no thought of consequence. There's no question of what's around them. They're just in that energy. And that's what the fool is. You got to enter into that divine madness. Crown yourself the carnival king. Believe you can do it. Build for yourself. Create something beautiful. Have that audacity and take a risk. Ride the bull, you know? Wild, wild stuff. But look, ultimately, we're seeing this prince. We're seeing the prince when they can embrace that energy and take that leap, pursue their passions, come into loving connection. They not only create new life, but they provide for it, right? They build in the earth and they find profound opportunity. This is the youth growing up and taking true responsibility. The key is just to stop overthinking and do what you know you need to, what inspires you, right? And you'll find yourself in this beautiful place, fulfilled and doing. Love it. All right. That's the message. Thank you so much, Thoth Tarot. I hope that resonated with you. It certainly resonated with me. Okay. Next, let's go to our first couple donations of the evening. All right. We have Mother Rhea. All the love in the world to you, Mother Rhea. Thank you so much for your support. And let's pull you a few. And we will, of course, go to the Thoth Tarot by Lady Frida Harris and Aleister Crowley. And let us invoke Hollow in the Muses and ask them to shine their light upon us, to guide us throughout our day, and to help us to realize the beauty of our dreams. So, Hollow in the Muses, what is today's empowering, inspiring message? Let's take a look. So, I did want to say it is storming right now, really bad outside. So, if my internet starts to crump out, I apologize. Hopefully, we can get through this. So let's see. Muses inspire. What's the message for Mother Rhea? Mother Rhea, you're showing up as the Queen of Discs. Queen of Discs, familiar energy for you, right? Heavy energy, dedicated energy. This is the one who builds and provides for her family, who's in that true, profound focus in the earth, right? She is the water of the earth, the kin builder, the kin protector, right? The empowered craftswoman, the one who takes charge and gets shit done, right? Who is that empowered Capricorn, that ram, really strong energy, building energy, you know, Mary Poppins energy sometimes, but also, you know, Margaret Thatcher energy sometimes. These are the women who get things done, who take charge, right? And they protect and they empower and they uplift. And look at that. Manifest the sun. When you can be in that hard Capricorn energy, when you can build in the earth and do what you need to do to protect the people you love, you will achieve your dreams. Come to true, profound, loving fulfillment, right? The sun is the birth of a new dawn, the most beautiful card in the deck. The nine on a transcendent level, manifesting that generative infinity, true, profound beauty, infinite potential. Yeah, and the only thing you got to do is be at peace with this moment. This is heavy, right? The truce card is never easy. Repose is never easy, but it's that foundation in the air, right? You know what you got to do. You know you can't, you got to just face it and not allow yourself to get distracted and into fearful energy. You know, the Queen of Discs, she's the forever burden, right? To be the builder, to be the one who provides is to be forever burdened. And it's very easy to be when you're in this energy to get angry, to be frustrated by the work. And what the muse is reminding you is to be at peace with the work, right? When you can accept the work and bring it into a balanced place, then you can really do what you need to do to come to the sun. All of these energies are temporary, and this hard queen won't stay with you forever. It's needed in this moment. But once you come to that dawn, I imagine you'll come into a much more relaxed, beautiful mode. But, right, this is the one who gets it done now. Just understand this is what I got to be, this is what I got to do in order to do this. But you're doing it. You're manifesting your dreams. You're empowered in yourself. You are that strong queen who gets it done. Don't allow yourself to get distracted or frustrated. Stay on the path and be the builder. Be the profound craftswoman. That's the message. All right. Thank you so much, Mother Rhea. All the love in the world to you. All right. And let us continue with the donations. Up next, we have my dear friend, Andy. All right. Thank you so much, Gandhi. All the love in the world to you. Let us pull you a couple cards. And we invoke Apollo and the Muses and ask them to shine their light upon Gandhi, to guide him throughout his day, to help him to realize the beauty of his dream. So, Apollo and the Muses, what is the empowering, enlightening message for Gandhi? Muses inspire. Take a look. Okay, we got the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords is powerful stuff. It's calling you to come back into focus, calling you into a new profound idea. The aces always signify an opportunity. This is something that's going to lead you down the rabbit hole, a thread of inspiration, something that demands exploration, right? An idea that'll take you to the heights. The only thing with this energy, right, with the air, we always also have to understand the ace implies the heights and the completion of the cycle. In the air, that's heavy stuff, right? So we also have to understand the potential of falling into that cruel energy, needing to come into that profound ruin energy, recognizing where this energy has taken us. So there is something here that can lead to growth and wisdom, but it can also take you right into that wild inner place, stagnation. Yeah, look at this. You're in that pursuit. You're in that pursuit. Why? No wonder the ace is here, Gandhi. You're in the five, right? And this has been an ongoing theme for you for the last couple readings. Right? The five of defeat energy is intense. One of the hardest cards, right? Because to come into that profound understanding of science and reason of wisdom is to accept the world as it is, but it's also to cultivate that academic learning, to expand one's perspective through the study of history, and that just takes time and effort. The other one, coming into that profound, greater perspective, takes enlightenment. So often with this energy, right, we need to do something really intense to get through this. Let's see. Oh, look at you. Connecting to the Queen of Wands. Hail Circe. Okay, Gandhi. Well, you're being inspired to go down that rabbit hole and you're being led into this deep, frustrated energy. But I think what the muse is telling you is that this is the right path. You just got to keep struggling in the air. You just got to keep engaging in this energy. Eventually, it'll take you there. It'll take you there. The defeat card is also just that recognition, right? To be the academic, to learn the language, to understand history, you got to do the work. You got to read the books. You got to put in the hours. And that could be what this energy is really about. And that goddess is just there on the horizon, just there on the horizon. You know, once you pass through that defeat, you come into the profound energy of the sick. Just ask yourself, am I in that receptive energy? Can I recognize that muse? The spirit of inquiry is here, and she's coming to pull you down the rabbit hole. I know you love it, Gandhi. Look for it. That's the message. Beautiful. All right. And let's keep going here. Up next, we've got a beautiful donation from my dear friend, Steve. Thank you so much, Steve. All the love in the world to you. And we will go to the Midnight Magic Tarot. Okay. And we invoke Apollo and the Muses and ask them to shine their light on Steve, to guide him throughout his day and to help him to realize the beauty of his dreams. So Apollo and the Muses, what is that message from Steve? Let's see. All right. We got the Ten of Cups. Ten of Cups, satisfaction, right? The Ten of Cups is the completion of the cycle in the water. True emotional fulfillment, right? This is having everything we want in the waters. Friends, family, lovers, partners, and being in that area where we just are completely fulfilled. And now we can give freely and fairly. We can return back to the root of the element, right? And in the center like this is where you wish to be. This is an ideal for you. Being in that loving community and being in that charity, sharing that friendship and joy with others, right? This is a very idyllic card, truly magical card. And look at that, the Fool, the elemental air, Dionysus, the divine child. This energy calls you to take the leap, to become the carnival king, to take that risk, to throw yourself out there, pursue your desires with the full intensity of your being, without thought or without care, without worry. If you want to be in that loving connection, put yourself into connection, call yourself into community, embrace it with that loving openness. Yeah, look at this, the tower. You know, the tower is heavy energy, right? The tower signifies a collapse. It's that magic of Mars, of Aries, that force that comes and pulls the rug out from under us, right? And this is a really intense moment. And all we can do in the face of that Aries energy is react. You know, he comes to bring in change, comes to challenge you. Anything that's not stable is going to collapse. But out of this energy comes true change and opportunity, right? The power of Aries is also innovation. Right? He is also the god of technology, of true inspiration at its most profound. If you can seize hold of the tower energy, he can do what? Take you into love and community, bring you into the heights of fulfillment, manifest opportunities that you never thought possible. Because that's that potential of that fire. The strife upsets, but it also creates, you know? But you got to go through the heaviness of it all. You have to be willing to rebuild after you take the hit. But look, throw yourself into this loving pursuit. Face the tower head on. You will be rewarded, my friend. It won't be easy, but that love you seek is right around the bend. Pick yourself up. Keep going. Keep connecting. You may feel like you don't have this now, that you're in this moment here, but this is on the corner. Just keep embracing that journey. You know, the fool doesn't care. They're just focused on that future. All right. That's the message. All the love in the world to you, Steve. Thank you so much, my dear, dear friend. I truly appreciate you. All right. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay. All right. Up next, we've got a donation from Kairos. All right. Thank you, Kairos, for your loving support. The Moon Crescent Tarot. Moon Compass Tarot. Moon Compass Tarot. Yes. Beautiful stuff. All right. We will invoke Apollo and the Muses, ask them to shine a light upon Kairos, to guide them throughout their day and to help them to realize the beauty of their dreams. So, Apollo and the Muses, what is the message for Kairos from the Moon Compass Tarot? Let's take a look. Nope. Okay, we got the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands. So the Six of Wands is knowledge and conversation. Yeah, not the Moonbeam Tarot. That's what I was calling it the other day. Right? Six of Wands, knowledge and conversation with the muse, right? Being in harmony with the world and with your desires. You know, you are fulfilled and you are in flow with everyone, uplifting those around you and being uplifted, right? Really, really profound energy. And in the center, this is what you're working towards. This is what you want, right? You want to be in conversation with that muse. You want to know where you're supposed to go. You want to see the signs and feel them. Let's see. Okay. The Ten of Swords. In order to embrace that energy, though, you're going to have to pass through the cycle of the swords. The Ten of Swords is heavy, ruination, right? The Ten of Swords is all about facing yourself, right? You have to recognize, you have to gain a new perspective, apply all of your understanding of your own situation. You have to be willing to do it with honesty and clarity, right? If the Ten of Swords is here, it's because you have disconnected yourself from reality. You are distorting things and are in this energy of fear. And that's what's preventing you from coming into your true self, right? Connecting to your muse. But with the 10 year, you're breaking free of this energy. It's no longer binding you. This energy is closed out. The key is to gain perspective and to go back to the root of the element of air, right? To be willing to listen, to be willing to learn, to be in that true open energy, accepting energy, right? Not bound up in that fear energy and that unwilling energy, right? Let's see. The Eight of Cups. Yeah, the Eight of Cups. Okay. So not only do you have to get out of your fearful energy, you're going to have to get out of the Eight of Cups indolence energy. You know, the indolence is one of the more painful cards in water because this is all about, you know, we want love, we're calling love in, but then we're unwilling to engage it. You know, we find ourselves, you know, afraid, afraid, right? People are complicated. They're both the best and the worst thing in anyone's life. And love is difficult. It requires you to put yourself out there, and you run the risks of running into a person you don't flow with that could cause who knows what kind of issues. But also, if you don't put yourself out there, you never get the love that you seek, right? And in that energy of indolence, you want love, but yet you're refusing to go outside, you know? You're doing all of this energy work to call in connection, and yet you're not fully embracing the connections when they come. And it's about this fear. It's about this fear. You're going to find yourself when you can stop overthinking and you can come into connection. You need friendship, you need companionship, you need greater perspective, right? Not caught up in your own self, right? Get out of your own self and come into harmony. The other part of the Six of Wands victory, right? There's two sides to that energy. On one hand, you are fulfilled person, but on the other hand, you are fulfilling others and uplifting others in harmony. You are part of the tapestry in flow. You're not in that. The swords always signify that isolated individual, my way, my life, my issues. You can't be in that energy if you're going to be embracing you, right? If you're going to be living in that true will, you're going to have to accept this companionship. You're going to have to see from greater perspective than your own. That's the message. But you're on the cusp of something great, right? On the cusp of something great. Just continue to let go of fear and to invite love in. That's the message. All right. Up next, we've got Stone Bible Study. Thank you so much, Stone Bible Study. We really appreciate your love and support. Okay, beautiful. All right, we're going to go to the Thoth Tarot by Lady Frida Harris and Aleister Crowley. And let us invoke Apollo and the Muses and ask them to shine their light upon Stone Bible studies, to guide them throughout their day and to help them to realize the beauty of their dreams. So Apollo and the Muses, what's the empowering and inspiring message for Stoned Bible studies? Let's take a look. Muses inspire. All right, our center card and defining image is the universe, the 21. 21, the completion of the cycle, the final moment, the first and the last, the magic of Hestia, the thing in and of itself, the totality, right? Seeing the grandiose thing in its full unfoldment, right? The universe implies the pool. This is the child becoming the mother only to give birth to herself as the child and have to go through that cycle all over again. When we see this energy, though, it's really profound. You're on the cusp of true profound realization, on the completing of a profound cycle, right? And in the center, this is something you've been working towards. You can see the end on the horizon. You feel yourself coming into something profound. And it's important when we recognize that to try and see things in that holistic sense, to try and recognize what we've been building to and where we will go after. Wow. The high priestess, right? The high priestess is the light in the darkness, the highest muse, the great mother, that voice of chaos, that force that calls us into the heights of the ideal, that brings us into the beautiful, the initiation. This energy is magical, right? This is telling you that you're on a profound initiation, and it's leading you to true realization, right? And that path is the path of divine imitation, of listening to the muse and following after her in loving adoration, right? Let's see. The key for all of this for you, it's about naming this for you. It's about naming this. So much about people in a modern societies we're caught up in nonsense. And we need to sometimes just embrace the madness. You have to give this path its name. You are pursuing your passionate desires. You're connecting to that divine for the purposes of self-realization. And you got to embrace that energy in its fullness. You're going through it, right? This energy of the ace signifies a profound, inspiring spark, something that's leading you to real connection. It's taking you to the heights of the ideal. Embrace that fire, right? Be in that energy of the nine of wands, because the ace always implies the nine and the 10. And the nine of the wands is the magic of endurance, the power of strength. If you inflame yourself and your passions, if you strive to connect to that highest self, if you go through the magical path of refinement, you will achieve true fulfillment. You're doing it. Believe in it. Be it. That's it. Thank you so much. What a beautiful message, my friend. Like, you don't get more magical than that. Holy crumb. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Wild. Wild, wild, wild. Give yourself permission. Be the fool. Okay. Let's see here. And with that, we're going to continue with our Saturn Square community readings. All right. Which deck do we wish to go to next? Let's see. You're welcome. Glad it resonated with you, Stoned. Much love. Love is the law, right? Beautiful. Okay. And we're going to go to the Mermaid Tarot. The Mermaid Tarot. And this is going to be our last community reading for the evening. So if anyone wants me to pull them a few cards, send a donation now. Or if you want to sorte, send a donation. But we're going to start to wind down after this. All right. So we invoke Hollow and the Muses and ask them to shine their light upon us, to guide us through our days, and to help us to realize the beauty of our dreams. So Apollo and the Muses, what is the inspiring and empowering message from the mermaids? Let's take a look. Okay. Muses inspire. All right, our center card and defining image is the magician, the magus, right? The magus is incredible energy. The magus is the one who's gone through the cycles, who's overcome the devil and risen to the heights of the ideal, balanced themselves in their will, and now they can manifest their reality. Now they can transform the universe in their own image. They can wield the elemental powers, right? This is heavy energy. We see that, magus. We are called to be in that true visionary energy, to take ourselves into the profound heights, to have that audacity, playfulness, and wonder, to balance ourselves internally and externally, to go through that path of refinement. Yeah, look at that. The five of discs worry. Five of discs worry is heavy energy, right? Like all the fives, this is that struggle energy, right? We find ourselves in the magic of Venus, the force that calls us to cross the threshold, to stand atop the foundation and draw down the moon, to exceed ourselves, right? And to exceed yourself in the earth is intense, right? To come into that success, it requires a lot of discipline, a lot of action. And this energy of the five of worry also applies all of this instability, this anxiety and fear. You know, We are not secure here. We could be knocked down. We could lose what we have built, and we feel it, right? So much of that magus energy is born out of this kind of energy of anxiety, right? Magic is about embracing those emotions and channeling them. I always remind everyone about the most powerful energy in the universe, the great Mother Demeter, who calls the dead back to life. And how does she do it? Through embracing the grief, through crying out, through demanding, through refusing to let go, right? The magus understands this, embraces that energy with that empowered will and focus. They wield belief and imagination and emotion as tools to overcome and to create, right? And that's what we need to do. We need to empower ourselves in our vision and face this energy, engage in that building. Wow, and we have the Five of Cups, disappointment, two five energies on either side, right? More Venus energy, and this time in the waters, calling us to put ourselves out there, to struggle to come into loving reciprocity, right? And again, just like the of discs, the Five of Cups, right? We feel that weight of not being in loving connection. We want partnership, we want friendship, we desire lovers, and we're in that lack, right? And we need to channel all of this and use it to fuel us. We want love, we want stability. How do we get there, right? Let's see. Oh, wow. And look at that. We have the Six of Cups. The Six of Cups. When we can embrace that magus energy, when we can commit to this work, look what we find ourselves doing, coming into that loving reciprocity. You know, the Six of Cups is that mutual consensual fulfillment, loving reciprocal flow. I am giving freely and receiving freely. You are giving freely and receiving freely. The magic that truly protects and fulfills itself. And this energy takes us to the heights, the ecstasy, to beautiful, right? This is wild, really magical. And we find it with this wonderful queen, wonderful queen. When we are willing to struggle in the earth, you know, we come into this profound connection, and that's what leads to true love. Wow. Oh, interesting. Or actually, no, you know what? I'm thinking we're showing up here actually as the queen. We're showing up here as the queen, manifesting love for ourselves, struggling to create beautiful art, struggling to be in that true, profound energy. You know, the water is easier for the queen because it's of her nature. So she's finding herself coming into loving fulfillment and she continues to struggle in the earth. But look at this. She has a profound partner. Wow, there is a love connection here. The true balance that's fulfilled in the waters, the King of Cups, the mature person who's out to be fulfilled in the waters. They seek emotional connection. They want to protect their community, to be connected to the people around them. They find themselves fulfilled in helping others. The king is the classical knight who rescues the princess, right? And we're seeing that loving king connect to the artist queen, the fire, the water of fire, the one who puts herself out there, who turns her life into profound art, who creates with the majesty of herself, right? Really beautiful energy. And there's a true love here. But it begins with that willing to tell the magical story that unites these forces, that overcomes the disappointment and the worry. Yeah. And the magus brings us to profound opportunity. It leads to that profound connection. The ace signifies that energy. And when the ace is here, we have to recognize it and pursue it. This is a profound connection that can lead us to the heights, the 9 and the 10, happiness and fulfillment, right? But in order for this energy to be realized, we must cultivate it, embrace it, embody it, see it lead us to where we need to go, right? Be in that true creative vision. Wow, wow, wow. Let's see. Yeah, the waters are heavy for us. We have the hangman, primordial water, the elemental water, right? And the hangman is all about coming back into flow and find ourselves in this energy of fear, right? Not being able to be in harmony with the people around us. But the muse is offering a way for us to get out of this energy. She's calling us to face our fears, to take accountability. There could be bad habits, things that we are doing that are taking us out of flow. In a lot, oftentimes these are actions born of fear. And the muse is telling you, recognize this and cut it out now. If you recognize it and you cut it out now, nothing bad will happen. You'll come back into harmony. But with this energy of the hangman, if you don't change your course, then you're going to find yourself down the wrong path, right? Doomed. We need to recognize our limitations, where we're falling short, and take accountability, face our fears, and do something different. Often the hangman comes in connection with that Seven of Cups, debauchery, illusion. What are we distracting ourselves with? What are we refusing to deal with? What is the reality of our fears? What is the reality of the moment? You know? Let's see. The ten of discs. Look at that, guys. Incredible. Not only do we come into true love energy, we complete the cycle in the earth together. We get out of this worry and we complete the whole cycle. That's incredible, right? The 10 of discs is accomplishment. Now you have created something, given birth to something greater than the self. True, profound accomplishment, the creation of the magnum opus. This is incredible energy, being truly rewarded. But in order for that reward to come, we have to be the visionary and come back into harmony. These are the two active energies, right? When we can do this, then we can overcome this energy and find the love, complete the cycle, come into balance, right? But what's the empowering stuff is in the water and in the air, or in the magus, right? This is wild stuff, though. Really wild stuff. Take disciplined action. Break free of bad habits that limit you and that cause you to fall short, right? Pursue loving connection and do the hard work, and you will find yourself fulfilled in the earth, fulfilled in the waters, building and creating something truly profound. Beautiful energy. All right. How wonderful. Okay. And with that, we are going to call it for our tarot readings. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Okay. We're going to do just one sword taste here, and then we're going to call it an evening, and we'll say our prayer. And I think we're going to go to Khalil Gibran, the treasured writing. All right. Muses, what is the message from Khalil Gibran? Inspire. What we sow, we reap not. They reap what they sow. We are slaves of gain, and they are children of contentment. What we sow, we reap not. They reap what they sow. We are slaves of gain, and they are slaves of contentment. What? Listen to that. If you are in that energy of greed, then you can never receive. Do you not see? Wow. Greed makes it so that you can never fully enjoy or appreciate or be satisfied. And so, how can you reap what you sow? Amazing, 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 amazing. And wild Plutus energy, so much Plutus energy. I hope you guys can hear me. It looks like my camera has frozen, but we are calling it an evening anyway. All right. So I think I'm just gonna close it because it doesn't look like, I think it's completely crashed. All right. Much love, everyone. I don't know if you're hearing me or not. Oh wow. I guess not.